What's the best low paying job you've ever had? Movie store. Free rentals. Netflix was just starting to take off, so it didn't get busy ever. Get to watch movies all day and free Slurpees. Ice skating rink entrance checker at my college. I basically got paid $10 hour to sit at a desk and do my homework. Yes, I know lots of jobs like that my friends used to work in high school. At the movie theater there was the auto machines where people could buy tickets, and Ilian would just sit there and do his algebra 2 homework all shift. Working at a theater. We were all young, had our own cash and places for the first time, and got into all kinds of trouble. Very fun. Plus, free movies and snacks. Pretty sweet. Night shift at a hotel front desk. I spent the night by myself, chilling and watching movies on my phone. Hardly anyone ever checked in at night, and when they did it was just a 5-minute process. I was also allowed to snack on the food in the kitchen. I had to make breakfast, and would get to eat that as well every morning. I'd have a big Texas cinnamon roll and some milk just about every night lol. It didn't pay much, but for someone who enjoys spending time alone and not dealing with the public much, it was great. As someone who is currently on my night shift at front desk, I can confirm it is great. However, prolonged amounts of time and it can cause health problems from messing up your circadian rhythm. Also sometimes, like right now, it can get really fucking boring, but can't complain much when I'm getting paid to browse Reddit in replying to you, so you get an alert and have something to do at work. There goes 10 seconds. Ski lift operator at a ski resort. Got paid minimum wage, but the whole job was to press a button if someone ate shit, which a lot of people did. Came with sweet perks like free snowboarding and half price for food. Also my coworkers were a bunch of dope snowboarding hippies. Also people bailing off the lift is hilarious. It's live entertainment. I would just see some clearly inexperienced people get wrecked while getting off. Stop the lift. Roll my eyes. Maybe help them if it's going to take a while. Start lift again lol. Working at a small local museum. Basically did tours for local kids who didn't care or the elderly who knew more about the stuff than I did. On my first day, my high school history teacher, who helped me get the job and previously ran the place, gave me a tour and pointed out one interesting thing in each room. When I asked if I needed to learn about the rest, he just laughed and said I would. Every single tour I did for the elderly, someone would get super excited and talk non-stop about something they recognized. Hey, this sign used to hang at the old mill. Oh my god. This looks just like the nurse uniform I wore in WW. To this portrait is my grandmother. The next tour had just mentioned the stories the previous tour told me about, and even if I didn't have much to discuss about the museum, they loved just chatting. So I got paid to parrot the previous tour or just smile through rooms of the current tour talking. I even had one tour where I spent most of the tour just chatting about fantasy novels as an older lady just wanted to talk. 2 weeks later, she returned while I wasn't working and dropped off a bag of books for me. Her old books that she knew her son and grandkids didn't want. A sizable donation to the Historical Society, and a nice long write-up as the last room held an old uniform that was misidentified. She was part of the exact unit it came from, and gave the museum director a corrected page with the right unit name and a short description of some of the notable places they had served. Being a lighthouse keeper/attendant, it's a really fun and isolated job, and sometimes you even get an island of yours. That would be a sweet job until some eldritch abomination comes out of the sea. The first place it's going is toward the big bright light. That's where the life jacket comes in. Most fun. I was a movie theater manager for Carmike back in the 80s. It was glorious. Best too for a movie geek like myself at the time. Free movies. Early viewing. Have to agree. I worked at a Subway next to a movie theater. Free subs equals free early viewings equals new friends. I even had the code to go to the projector room and watched movies up there a few times. I worked at a blueberry farm where I worked inside the blueberry store. They sold homemade blueberry baked goods, homemade blueberry jam and other jams, blueberry and other flavors, ice cream, and blueberry knickknacks and trinkets. The owner's daughter who worked with me was fun, and we just manned the cash register and served ice cream. I worked there for 3 summers during college, made a sweet $8/HR, and got a bowl of ice cream every day. Best job ever. This sounds like the kind of job you'd see in a youth fiction novel. Wish that were me. Borders Books. Dang, I miss that company. $30 gift cards a month to buy books in addition to the employee discount. Also, you could borrow up to 2 books at a time to read and return in saleable condition. Pretty good bonuses and incentives for a retail job, and it was nice working with employees and having customers who were book lovers. Borders was a fun time. I worked with a bunch of great, really intelligent people. I miss that place. Bike rickshaw, pedicab, in Austin on 6th Street. Ferrying around drunks all night is so entertaining and was such an easy way to meet girls. Got to see tits, fights, people falling over, and hilarious shenanigans almost every night. And no boss. Best days were game days and could make bank from the rich alumni between the beer gardens and stadium. Husbands always paid you to take their wives ahead and they could stay back and drink beer. Must have been a few years ago. Now you have to worry about getting shot. Working at a ski resort if you're young. It's seasonal and everyone is just there for the free skiing/snowboarding, and they know it and tailor the job around that. You get a few breaks a day to ride. Benefits if you want them. Work around fun people and get to live in the beautiful mountains. Just sitting at a desk, watching a door and some cameras from 10 PM to 6 AM. Play some music at a low volume of my choice. Bring a book. Look up every few minutes. Go outside every hour with a flashlight and say hello to the raccoons. Come back in and let the hours just pass. You sold me at raccoons. Trash panda. Funeral parlor organist. At services. I played the funeral home's organ. I took requests from the family and tried to make it special for them. You should do an AMA. This sounds fascinating. Being a Starbucks barista actually isn't bad. Out of all the food service industry jobs I've had, they had the best health insurance plans and you didn't need to work 40 hours minimum to qualify for it. That left me open to waitress and make more money while still getting health insurance and free coffee. The work was fun too. I liked the hustle of making all the drinks and am naturally very good at small talk and memorizing the little details of regulars' lives so I could pick up the convo next time. The customers were generally very nice and tipped well. We often made about $2 an hour, which was split based on weekly hours worked, so the more you worked the more you got, which ain't bad. Of course we got plenty of Karens, especially in the summer when our town flooded with tourists, but even then the regulars would understand and commiserate with us, often loudly while stink-eyeing whatever tourist is hassling us on how rude city folk are. Came on here to say this. I loved the flow of making drinks and working the drive-through. Also, it was really nice giving people their drinks and making them happy. I had a really good experience with the customers as well. We did have a few Karens, but before working at Starbucks I worked at Walmart and those customers were the worst. I've never been treated or talked down to as much as I was at Walmart. Plus, if you're paying $5 for a drink, I understand wanting it the way you ordered. To fix situations with customers you just had to make them another drink, which was easy enough. The low paying jobs I have had all pretty much sucked, so I have to go with jury duty. Well, it's definitely low paying. Pizza delivery in a small town. Working 5 hours a day, 2 free meals a day, delivering weed on the side with a good cover, no boss over my shoulder, listening to music I only like. Best of all is not thinking about your job when not working. It was perfect for a 19-year-old stoner. God damn it, do I miss not thinking about my job when not working. Damn, that hits home. When I was fresh out of college and pestering management at my first job to let me in a management, I remember some of the other workers asking why I'd want to go and do a thing like that. At the time I was like, more money. Duh. And now I'm always thinking about work. Always. Camp counselor at a sleepaway camp for the summer. The kids were fun, and after hours the counselors had a pretty fun time. Basically being the responsible adult for a bunch of kids with activities planned by others. Also, the food was great and the camp threw some pretty decent parties. It was 7 weeks of spending time at camp and getting a little bit of money for the effort. I worked at summer camps for 5 years. Even stuck around in the off seasons to work with school groups. I really wish I could stay in that industry, but unless I feel like running a camp, I'll always be making peanuts. I worked in the warehouse part of a furniture store when I was 17. I was the youngest and the other guys were in their early 20s. We just goofed off, told jokes, and had fun. When we actually worked, it was hard due to assembling furniture and unloading trucks. But the rest of the time it was a blast. That's how I felt working in restaurants. It really sucked whenever you had to make like 10 fucking sandwiches that someone ordered in the middle of a rush, which was a fairly common occurrence. But when it was slow and you were working a shift with people who were within 5 to 10 years of your age, it was usually a fun time. Working at a small town microbrewery, got to drink beer all day and the workers were strongly encouraged to take as many free cases of beer as they could from the low fill pallet. Basically the beers that QC held back from the canning line if they didn't get filled enough before capping, or the label was bad, etc. They also gave all the workers $50 monthly allowance to buy our own brewing supplies from them, or swag from the brewery. It was great, and I never really quit or got fired. So I continued taking cases of low fill beers for about 6 months after I worked my last shift. It's still my favorite place in town to hang out because the tasting room hosts free concerts regularly and there's always new and delicious beers on tap. And I still know some of the people working there 10+ years later. Overnight security guard at a plant/factory. 12-hour shifts where I was alone in the quiet. Did a perimeter check every hour or two to make sure doors were locked and no one was trying to hop the back fence. No one ever did. Brought in books and a laptop and just basically got paid to sit on my butt and not fall asleep. Exciting? No. Relaxing? Very. Was great until the other guard I split shifts with got caught stealing from the offices and the security company lost the contract. Then I got let go because there's no way I wasn't somehow involved. Fuck the security company, but the job was awesome. Night manager at a doggy daycare/boarding house. People paid extra for their dog to stay in a guest suite with me, so I was basically paid to sleep with other people's dogs in what was essentially a hotel room built into the facilities. Then I got to play with all the dogs in the standard kennels in the morning for their breakfast playtime outside. That sounds like heaven, especially sleeping the guest suite with the dogs. Late 80s I had a temp summer job at a plastics factory. My job was to place a VHS case they had made onto a precision die, place a clear screen that would hold a label, and press 2 buttons that would drop ions to melt the two together. I was basically a robot that could understand boxes and no thought was required at all. The 2 buttons were a safety feature to ensure your hands were away from the irons. I had a summer job in college that sounds similar, but I hated it because it was so non-stimulating. I worked in a cotton mill and my job was to roll containers of cotton from one station to the next and then take empty containers back. I could only take a month or 2 of it before I had to find something else. The monotony and lack of interaction with others was driving me crazy. Computer lab assistant. Got paid for doing my homework and occasionally adding paper to the printer. In the 1970s I did photography work for a theme park during summers while in college. They had an amphitheater with big name acts, and I got to go backstage to shoot towards the audience. $3 an hour, but I got to meet B. King, Frankie Valli, Harry Chapin, and many more. Lots of nice looking young women worked there, too. Married one of them. We are still married. I used to manage a vape shop a few years back. All I did was shoot the shit with customers, as well as talk shit with them. I made a lot of great lifelong friends through that gig, as well as some connections in the music industry. All in all I really did love that job, but I quit cause obviously wasn't getting paid shit. Aside from that I wanted to quit vaping. Fun facts. I finally quit smoking/vaping for almost a year now, and I essentially ran the store while my boss would talk down to me quite often. Rumor has it that when I quit, half the customers started shopping at the competition's vape shop. Heard that from the manager of the rival shop, whom I'm friends with. Making pizzas at Domino's in college. The job itself was just okay, but the people I worked with made me actually look forward to going. And 15 years later I'm still friends with most of them. My husband also made lifelong friends as a waiter for California Pizza Kitchen. Again, job was just okay, but the people made all the difference. I'd take a job in the food service industry over retail any damn day. My time at Victoria's Secret was the absolute worst. Make gifts. Like taking the thing and putting them in gift bags. $3 a day. I was in my mother's shop. It was last Christmas. The pay sucks. But the tip. Man, I did $100 in 4 days in just tips. I worked at a bookstore for 15 years. I handled school and gov orders. Also talked books all day with employees and fave customers. It was zen and relaxing to shelve every day and alphabetize and such. Got to do story time once a week for the kids, which I love because I got to do voice and sound effects, and there's nothing better than a customer coming up to you and saying, "That book you recommended was amazing. What else you got?" If it hadn't paid virtually stagnant retail wages with cost of living going up and up, it'd still be there. You can't really make a living working at a bookstore unless you want to live very poor or are a store manager. Have very fond memories working at a Mexican bakery as a kid and while in college. It's amazing how hard the people there worked. Everyday bakers would come in at 4 AM and was overall joy. One of my favorite places to go as a kid. My dad would buy bread for the BBQ and I would get sugar cookies shaped like stars. Best damn cookies ever. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos.